It's hard to feel like anything is changing. I feel like I have been stuck here for so long. Like, I'm trying to have faith, but it just feels like nothing is happening.
Faith doesn't always mean we see everything right away. Sometimes, God's work is quiet, growing roots deep before anything blossoms on the surface.
I guess it's just hard to feel like he is here when things are empty. It's like he is there on the mountain when things are good, but down here, in the valley, it feels like he is so far away.
I get that. But, I once read that, the Lord is near to the brokenhearted, and saves those who are crushed in spirit. Psalm 34 verse 18. It's like he draws closer when we are in our valleys, even if we don't feel it.
So he is still here, even in the valley? Oh yes, Maria. That is the beautiful part. God doesn't just stay on the mountain. He walks with us through the valleys too. Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Psalm 23 verse 4. He doesn't leave us.
So, even in all this, he is still here. It's just that I want to know that all this struggle is leading somewhere.
It is Jonathan. Look at your life like a seed. Seeds don't look much on their own, but under the soil, they grow roots. That is what faith does. It plants roots in us that hold on, even when the storms come. We just have to trust that what is hidden will bloom when it's time.
I guess. Maybe this is just the root growing phase then.
Sometimes, the greatest blooms come from the seeds planted in the hardest seasons. And someday, you will look back on this valley and see it full of flowers.
So the valley can be beautiful too? Yes, Maria. We just have to wait and trust that God is holding that watering can. Every hard moment has a purpose, even when we can't see it yet. Someday, we will see the valley covered in flowers.
I don't know all this talk about God being in the valley too. It sounds good, but some things just don't make sense to me. I mean, where's the purpose in losing people, or feeling like life is stuck on repeat?
I understand, Jonathan. Those feelings are very real. Sometimes, when we are in the middle of it, we can't see the bigger picture. Can you tell us what's been weighing on you?
Well, there is this job I applied last year. I would have been working toward it for months. Thought it was my way out, a chance for things to change. But I didn't get it. And now, I feel like I'm just drifting.
I get that. Sometimes it feels like everything is at a standstill, and you are just there, waiting for something to happen.
And you start to wonder, is this it? Is this all there is? I can't remember the last time I felt truly alive. It's hard to feel like God is with me in that.
That's something a lot of people go through, Jonathan. Life can feel stagnant, especially when things don't go as we hope. But remember, even in the quiet, seemingly stagnant moments, God is at work. He is often preparing us in those waiting seasons. For I know the plans I have for you, plans to give you hope in a future. Jeremiah 29 verse 11.
I want to believe that, but it's hard. When my dad passed a few years ago, it left this huge hole. He was the one who understood me the most. And since then, it's been hard to find direction. I thought this job would finally give me something to look forward to, like I would have a purpose again. But now, it just feels like one loss after another.
Losing people we love leaves a wound that doesn't heal overnight. And it's okay to feel lost. But even in that, God sees your hurt. He is still walking with you, even if it doesn't feel that way.
And sometimes, the hardest times are when God plants seeds, even if we don't see them right away.
So, what you are saying is maybe all this waiting and loss has a purpose? Even when I feel like I'm stuck?
Exactly. The waiting can feel endless, and the pain may seem pointless, but God is often doing His deepest work in those hidden places. Those who sow with tears will reap with songs of joy. Psalm 126 verse 5. Think of your life as a seed. It's underground now, unseen, but it's taking root. In time, it will break through, even in the darkest soil.
I guess. I'm just hoping that someday I will see why all this happened, why I had to go through it all. I want to believe that this pain has a purpose.
Trust that it does, Jonathan. One day, when you're on the mountain looking back, you will see that God was with you all along, and that He is using this valley to create something beautiful in you.
Thank you, Mrs. Clara. Sam, Maria. I think. Maybe I can hold on to that.
And until then, Jonathan, we're right here with you. We will keep growing together, even when it's hard. Remember, God in the mountain is still God in the valley.
You know, Jonathan, there was a time I thought I would never get through a tough season either. I was praying and waiting for what felt like forever, and nothing was changing. But then, one day, I stumbled across a verse that helped me see it differently. Consider it pure joy whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. James 1 verse 2-3.
Pure joy. Sounds like a tall order.
It does, right? But sometimes, it's less about being happy in hard times, and more about finding strength in knowing they are shaping us. Like, even if it's hard now, it won't be this way forever. My dad used to tell me, the rain won't last, and when it stops, things will grow.
I like that, Sam. Trials have a way of preparing us for something we can't see yet. Like Maria, there was a time I went through something similar. My husband and I lost our home during a rough season financially. I questioned everything, even my faith. But looking back now, I realized God was leading us to a place of deeper trust. He was helping us rely on Him rather than things.
Relying on Him instead of things. I think I get that. Lately, I have been holding on to the idea that if I could just have more control, maybe things would be easier. But maybe it's less about control, and more about surrendering.
That's a beautiful thought, Jonathan. Surrender isn't easy, but sometimes, it's the only way to truly feel free. It's like a song I like says, "Child, I'm planting seeds." Even when we feel like nothing is happening, God is quietly working beneath the surface.
And just think maybe right now, those seeds are taking root in you, even though you can't see them. Your willingness to hold on, even when you feel like you are barely making it, is a testament to faith. Faith doesn't always look like strength. Sometimes, it looks like just staying, even when you want to give up.
You all make it sound so possible. Like maybe I can come out of this stronger than I went in. I will admit, I'm not there yet. But maybe I'm closer than I was.
You are, Jonathan. Every small step forward is progress. Remember, He who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion. Philippians 1 verse 6. It's a journey, but each season has its purpose. Even when you are in the valley, and it's dark and scary, God is still working in you, drawing you closer to Him.
I guess this is just one of those valleys. And if flowers really do grow there, well, maybe there's something to look forward to.
Yes, exactly. And you are not alone in this valley. We are here with you. We will keep reminding each other of that hope, especially when it's hard to see.
You know, during the toughest times, I found myself looking for signs of hope everywhere. There were days I felt like I was in a fog, unsure of what lay ahead. But then I would remind myself of Jeremiah 29 verse 11. That God has plans for us, even when we can't see them.
When I was laid off last year, I was consumed by fear. I kept asking God why He would let this happen. It felt like I was drifting in a storm without an anchor.
It's often in the valleys, where we cultivate the deepest roots of our faith. During my darkest days, I would sit and write down everything I was grateful for, no matter how small. It shifted my mindset from loss to abundance.
And you know what? Those little things add up. I remember one week I celebrated the smallest wins, like getting out of bed on a rough day, or even enjoying a good cup of soya. Those moments matter.
And remember, it's perfectly okay to lean on each other. Galatians 6 verse 2 tells us to bear one another's burdens. None of us have to face our battles alone. We can lift each other up.
You are right. It feels good to know I have friends who care. It's hard to admit I'm struggling, but hearing you all share makes it easier.
There's strength in vulnerability. And remember, even when the rain pours, God is still at work. Like again that song I like says He is holding a watering can, nurturing us in ways we can't always see.
I will take that to heart. Maybe I will start a journal, jot down my thoughts and reflect on the good, even in this messy season. I keep staring at this blank page, hoping for inspiration to strike. It's like my mind is a jumbled mess right now.
It's okay, Jonathan. Starting can be the hardest part. Just let your thoughts flow. Write about how you are feeling, even if it's not perfect.
Exactly. No one else needs to read it. Think of it as your private space to vent. You can even see it as writing letters to God.
Honestly, everything feels so overwhelming. It's like I'm carrying this weight of uncertainty on my shoulders. I lost my job, and I keep questioning my worth.
That's completely understandable. It's hard not to feel that way when life throws curveballs. Remember what we talked about, you are not defined by your job.
You are right. I've always tied my identity to my work. It's hard to separate who I am from what I do.
It's a common struggle. I felt that way too after my own setback. I thought my value was only in my achievements. But over time, I learned that my worth comes from who I am, not what I accomplish.
Think of it this way. This season of your life is like the flowers in a garden. They don't bloom overnight. They go through a process of growth, even when they are buried in the soil, waiting for the right time to flourish.
It's comforting to think of myself as a seed waiting to grow. But how do I even begin to nurture that growth?
Start small. Maybe set little goals for yourself each day. Whether it's updating your resume, or simply reflecting on what you are grateful for, those steps matter. And definitely do not forget to have God at the forefront of all your plans.
Okay, so today I will list 3 things I'm grateful for. And maybe I will apply for a job or 2.
And don't forget to lean on your faith. Philippians 4 verse 6 to 7 says to be anxious for nothing, but in everything, by prayer and supplication, with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God. He has got your back.
You are right. I need to bring my worries to God and trust that He is guiding my path. Just applied for that marketing position. But what if I don't get called back?
It's natural to worry about that. But remember, Romans 8 verse 28 tells us that all things work together for good to those who love God. If this opportunity isn't meant for you, something better is waiting around the corner. And every no brings you closer to a yes. Look at this as part of your growth. You are gaining experience with each application, each interview.
That's true. I wouldn't have pushed myself to this point without your support. I used to shy away from challenges, but now it feels different.
Embracing the journey is key. Think about it. Every flower in the garden faced obstacles to bloom. Some were buried under the ground, some battled harsh weather, yet here they are beautiful and thriving.
I like that. I want to remember that metaphor. It reminds me that even in difficult times, growth is happening beneath the surface.
And don't forget to celebrate the small victories too. Whether it's submitting an application, or simply getting out of bed on a tough day, every step counts. You know, Jonathan, this journey isn't just about job applications. It's about discovering who you are, and what you truly want in life, and having faith in all that God has planned for you will come to pass.
You are right. I have realized that this time of uncertainty is a chance to explore my passions again. I want to do something that lights me up inside.
Keep nurturing those seeds of hope you have planted. You are going to look back and see how beautifully you have grown through this process. Remember 1 Corinthians 3 verse 6, I planted, Apollos watered, but God gave the increase.
Hey Maria.
Hey Jonathan. How is the prep for the interview going?
Honestly, not great. I have been reviewing my notes, but I keep doubting myself. What if I forget everything?
It's okay to feel that way. Just remember what we talked about in the other day. You have already come so far.
I know, but every time I think of the interview, I feel like that weight is back. It's hard to shake off the anxiety.
Have you thought about taking a moment to breathe and pray? Sometimes, just laying it all out before God helps.
You are right. I need to refocus. Thanks, Maria. I will do that.
Great. And remember Isaiah 41 verse 10. So do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. He's got your back, Jonathan.
That's what I needed to hear. It's just that when I look at my friends, I see how confident you all are, and I wonder if I will ever catch up.
Don't compare your journey to ours. Each of us is on a different path. Your journey is unique, and that's what makes it special.
God, I trust you. Just help me be myself.
Good morning, Jonathan. Thanks for coming.
We are excited to learn more about you and your experiences. No matter the outcome, I trust that God has a good plan. Flowers to grow in the valley.
Congratulations, Jonathan. We would like to offer you the position.
Thank you, Lord. Maria, you won't believe this. I got the job.
Are you serious? Oh my goodness, I'm so proud of you.
I couldn't have done it without your support. You all believed in me when I didn't.
It's like we talked about. Sometimes God keeps us in the valley to prepare us for greater heights.
Exactly. Just like Philippians 4 verse 13 says, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. I clung to that verse during the tough days. I'm grateful for all the rain, the challenges. They were part of God's plan to help me grow. To friendship, faith, and the flowers that grow in the valley.
And to new beginnings.
Remember, Jonathan, God has a purpose for every season. Keep trusting in His plan, and you will continue to flourish.
I promise to remember where I came from, and the love that lifted me. Indeed, as Jeremiah 29 verse 11 says, For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you, and not to harm you, plans to give you hope, and a future.